Hi everybody, this is Leonard. Okay, this is section 6 of the Volkswagen microbus transmission rebuild. Before I get into that, I'm going to review some of the products that I use so you have the same opportunity if you want. This is a product called, it's the first product I use, which is a caustic degreaser, water-based degreaser. It's called Potent Purple. You can buy it from Melco Products at melcopro.com. And they have 550 distributors, and they'll send a distributor to your house and you can buy right off the truck. That's what I use for degreasing. And then the next product that I go to is a sulfuric hydrofluoric acid. This stuff is nasty. You need good protection, hand protection. It'll eat the calcium out of your bones. It works good. It'll take all the rust off everything. This is chrome wire wheel acid. That's what they call it. It's for cleaning chrome. And the last product is a phosphoric acid, which cleans aluminum, that puts the protection on the parts before you paint them. Okay, over here is my bucket of strong wheel acid. After I degrease it, I use this. And this is the backing plate, as you can see. Let me set it down here. I'll show you what kind of job it does. This thing's been filthy dirty for about 30 years. As you can see, it looks pretty. That's just a little gooey grease on there at the moment. There's the back side. It'll eat the paint off it. You can see that paint. You hit it with a wire brush and it'll just fall off. Now what I would do next is I would take this and rinse it off in the degreaser, the Potent Purple, and then I would spray in a spray bottle some of this safe wheel acid on there, and that'll give you some protection. Here's one here's the brake drum that was done with the whole process, and it's got phosphoric acid on it, and it's been sitting up for a couple 3 days now. As you can see, it's not rusty at all. And until you're ready to paint it, you can leave it just like it is. Okay, the next thing is this is the other half of the drop axle, or the drop gear set, that was questionable. And because what we had originally, when I pulled this axle, as you can see, that thing was butchered to death. Well, I finally got this thing apart, and as you can see, there's some blue silicone on there, so you know somebody's been in there. And the next thing I look for is along the edges here. You can see where they put chisels and stuff along the edges, so you know there's a mark right there where somebody beat it with a chisel. And here's a chisel. Here's a chisel mark. Anyhow, when you see the chisel marks, you know an amateur was working on it. You got your hands full. So what happened? Oh yeah, here's another thing. You got to pull this inspection cover off. So the best way to do this, I think, is to get a square tubing and throw some weld on it in all four corners and let it cool. When you let it cool, it sucks the metal into the middle. It takes the pressure off it. I just welded a big old washer on the end of it, and I just take that washer with that axle, shove that axle in there and give it a bend back and forth, and it comes out of there like butter. So there's an easy way to do it. And then when you're done, get yourself a Sawzall and cut it off, and then grind it back flat again, then you can reuse it. Okay, back to this drop gear set. When I took this thing apart, if you look closely, you can see the snap ring down in there. So when this thing came apart, that snap ring was laying in there, and there's all kinds of broken chunks of metal. So whoever had this thing tried to beat this axle into this gear by sticking it in, looks like through the backside. So it was a mess. And I think these little extra pieces right here dug themselves into this axle bit right here, or somebody did a good job of chiseling it, because that's just about the alignment when you take those things out. I just still can't figure this out. How somebody could tear something up like that. Look at that thing. This thing's terrible. So this axle is shot on the end here, so I'm gonna replace the axle. And after close observation, this gear is cracked. It got a couple teeth that are cracked. There's some chisel marks, or when that thing shattered. Yeah, there's a bad spot right there. That's a crack, and it goes in this way. A little tough to see with the camera here, but there's a little hairline crack that goes in about, I'd say 1/8 of an inch. And if I was just out in the middle of the desert nowhere and had nothing to use, I'd put this back in and run it, because that's pretty big wide teeth. I mean, you play hell tearing this thing up. But there's a couple more bad spots where it looks like some metal got in there and crunched that thing up. Obviously this thing came into a halt when that metal was in there. So I gotta hunt me down an axle and probably a matching set of drop gears. This one looks okay. Oh, there's a nick on it right there. You can see it's not perfectly straight. A little more visible here. So looks like there's a chip. Let's see if I can get a good picture of that chip. You can see it right there. I'm not fond of chips, especially when I'm putting it in a nice car. So this gear is usable. Probably lasts forever. 2 lifetimes thereof, but I know if I put it in my car it'll break, so I will replace it. And obviously this bearing is shot, the piece is broken out of it, and I don't know how you could get a snap ring off like that. You'd have to beat on this axle. It looks like you beat on the axle pretty hard to get it off, because that thing had been resealed. I just can't figure it out. People are crazy. And when they did the dune buggy, they cut the bumper tabs off. So if anybody's got a set of bumper tabs that I can weld back on, please email me, and I'd be happy to buy a set. I need them for both sides. So I gotta cut these off and put another set on there. Okay, right, back up. So that's the process. Acid cleaning first. Well, actually degreasing first, and then bare metal parts and castings, but not aluminum. You can't put aluminum in here because it'll get red hot. The caustic soda in the potent purple will eat aluminum, so that's a no-no. You do all your aluminum separately. You could probably put it in there for a minute or two and take it out and clean it. So stick this one. This one's ready for cleaning, so I'm just going to put it over here in my parts to clean. And here's another thing that I do with my degreaser. When I'm done with it, I get paint filters from the paint and body shop, and you stick them in like that. Basically, you pour your mucky dirty water, whatever you got that's filthy, and you run it in the filter. And as you can see, it's coming out the bottom. You'll have clean degreaser again. So anytime you got contaminated degreaser with chunks and muck, like in the bottom of this pail right here, sand and dirt, smegma, whatever else you got, you can pretty much, by letting this thing, if I hit it like this a little bit, give it a little twist with a brush, it'll unplug the holes. This is a pretty fine micron, so this is just used in the paint and body shop. Anyhow, you can reuse your degreaser over and over, keep cleaning it. You get the big chunks out, and the strength's the same. The strength doesn't change, so don't throw your degreaser away, reuse it. That 5-gallon pail lasts me forever. That's it for now. Ciao.